Okay, so tell me all about firing your client last week. Because you wanted to get to that last time and you didn't.
I got the most classic firing story, and I feel like I got some karma from it too.
Yeah.
I've had a rash of cancellations in the last week.
That's right. You do have one right now, right? Did you fill it?
No, I had a full cancellation Sunday and Tuesday and Monday evening. So like I had a big swath of things to do this week, and suddenly I'm kind of sitting here last minute going, I'm grateful for the time, but I would have liked to have chosen this.
Money's nice.
Yeah,
money's good too. Also, like I'm moving into the new house in 2 weeks, so I'm pretty stoked to let's earn it out now and take some days off late April, early May, because I've scheduled a bunch of time off. So I would like to, cash cow the next couple of weeks.
Right.
So I consulted with this chick a couple of months back, put her in for a date. There's some issue with the date, moved around a couple times. Anyway, she ended up getting in fairly soon, which was going to be last Monday or Tuesday, let's say. She walks in, and I show her the drawing. We discussed a certain shape of things, a certain type of flower, in a certain placement, kind of a certain way. I drew it up for her, kind of like we discussed. She walks in, and she goes, "Okay, well, I was kind of hoping it would be and of course it's floral. The thing I'm trying to get away from is a thing I'm already biased super hard against.
Well, here's more floral.
Oh, well, no. I've got a few good clients that I'm keeping in that style, because there's a few people that I really enjoy hanging out with, and I'm like, yeah, come back anytime. I'll take care of you. I have a great time with them.
Yeah. But overall, you want to broach it.
This is my first time working with this girl, and here's one of the reasons I'm trying to get out of it. So she walks in, I show her the thing, she's like, oh, well, I was really hoping it would be a lily of a valley and a rose, and hold on. In my notes, it openly says no preference on flowers, it just needs to match this other thing over here.
Yeah.
So now you're going to throw at me a couple of flowers that actually don't work great in this style, or at least, they take a bit of time and energy to get them to work well. So I really tried to tell her to go home then and there. It's kind of like, you know what? I spent a couple hours drawing this thing already. I think I'm good here. You didn't give me a heads up. I'm good. I don't really need to try anymore. And she's like, oh, no, I really want to get tattooed today. So I was like, cool. If you're cool with waiting, I'll go spend an hour and a half and revamp this thing. So I went back, came back here, had the drawing table. And now I've got a finished drawing that I'm like taking all apart and erasing little bits and keeping old versions of it and figuring out what I'm trying to keep the original composition still.
Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, she had a very specific shape she wanted it with the gap in the middle and stuff, right? So I'm trying to take it all apart, add these two new flowers that don't fit per se. Like, they certainly shouldn't go together. Just the shapes that they are and the size of the shapes. These flowers should barely be in the same composition, let alone last minute. So I brought it back to her, and she's like, oh, I'm still not in love with it. I'm like, yeah, it's a bit of a butchery thing now. I think we should just bail.
I'm not in love with it either.
Yeah, I'm not in love with it either. And
who could love this?
I really dug what I did before, though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and she keeps humming and hawing, like, well, maybe I'll get the first one, and maybe I'm like, no, if you don't love it, let's just not tattoo today. We work in a pretty brilliant industry where if no one gets tattooed today, it doesn't really matter.
Right. Get to go home.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That means I don't have to work. That means you don't have to be in pain. We're going to be fine here. Nothing's on fire. There's no contracts or deadlines.
Yeah, that's
it just
right.
is.
It's not like anything is going to fall apart if you don't get the tattoo.
That's right.
It's one of those industries that's literally just there for candy.
Fully luxury.
Yeah, it is as luxury as it gets.
It's like closing down the bulk barn.
Yeah.
I still don't understand being that picky, though. Like,
well, no, she has a point.
I don't go into tattoos like that.
She wanted a certain thing. And she didn't tell me what she wanted.
That's the problem, though. I just don't get that. Like, you say whatever flower, and then you come and you go, well, I wanted this. Like, that just drives me nuts.
This is something that happens a lot, especially in Lethbridge. It's this specifically unspecific, where it's like, oh, I just want you to do your thing. Except for when you actually show me the thing that you want to do, I'm going to be unreasonably specific as to what I want.
I really wish I could show you. So, coming back into the karma.
Sure.
I've got a client that I tattooed him once before ages ago, and we got an appointment on Thursday. And I've really been trying to figure out what the hell he wants, because he's got some very specific needs.
Oh.
Not even lofty, terrible goals. Like, I had to talk him out of getting like stars, like not nautical stars, but the worst thick black outline of stars.
Yeah.
He wanted those into
familiar
his.
with that?
I am familiar with those.
Yeah. Remy
Jeremy's had a
knows.
couple.
Yeah.
Rick was
One or
pretty
two?
tired of doing those on me.
I don't doubt that.
He wanted
did 4 or
those
5 of those.
with the moon as a fate, like the sliver moon with the man's face in
Yeah,
it.
yeah, Mr. Moon.
And
I had a Mr. Moon
and like
tattoo.
so he gave me 4 different references.
So far, this sounds like you're tattooing Jeremy, but like 6 years ago,
Hey,
Jeremy.
man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But the whole time I'm trying to convince him that, like, well, let's choose a style and have the whole tattoo be in one style. And he would consistently like send me different styles of different things. He wants this line style moon with these soft clouds, with these line style mountains, with these black and gray style trees, and you're like, this is making me crazy. And then, so after it already like sent him, I don't do this normally, but he's an old client. I kind of treat him like the buddy system. I send him several drafts, and each time he's like, "Oh wow, you're right. That doesn't look good." I'm like, "Well,
Wow, thanks.
well, no,
tricky.
I'm putting
Yeah.
his line style moon in these soft clouds. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?" Anyway, so finally got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I've got a bunch of things together here for you. Everything you've ever said you wanted is in this file. Come in on
Sure.
Monday. I've already drawn you everything you wanted. Just we don't know how to put it together yet. Come in on Thursday.
Yeah.
He still kept messaging me. He'd find old flash sheets of things from a completely different style again.
Sure.
And be like, what about the bear from this with like the bottom? And
Yeah, I dig it.
We're putting a bear
with
in it now?
Stars and moons. It all makes sense to me.
it's getting worse all
course.
the time.
It's like a smorgasbord.
So
of-
anyway, Karma's a bitch.
well,
Photoshop it all together and be like,
to take us back to 2 weeks ago, this is a scenario where there's a Scot that just did the right tattoo for that girl,
That's
and
it.
then none of this happened.
Right.
No bear, no stars, no moon, no cancellations.
Yeah. Well, no.
It's a Scot that did that.
In the alternate universe, everything else stayed perfectly normal, and Thursday dude canceled.
Oh, is that
You know
right?
what? You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah.
Because really, it's very obvious from our communication. Because like, there was 40,000 texts before yesterday too, regarding like, well, how much is it going to cost if I do this, and what if I break it in 2 sessions, and like this back and forth that I cannot.
I've
handle.
never asked that question ever.
Neither have I.
I have never asked how much will it cost if I do this.
Yeah.
Like it's always just like,
Well,
you pay what it costs.
If you need
right?
an estimate, like once you give me a really clear idea, and you're like, okay, how much do I need to plan for on Thursday?
Right?
Cool. I've got no problem saying if it's 4 hours, we're here. If it's 5 hours, we're here. This is my max for the day. No problem.
I've done that.
But
I have a budget
when
of
you're
this
like,
much.
okay, well, how much if we do the whole thing? What if we don't do the cover up and we work around it? What if like I gave him 9 different numbers.
Yeah.
Like, hold on, I'm putting my phone down and I'm blocking you. I have other stuff to do besides message you, buddy.
Oh, geez.
Oh, I've had to do that once.
Yes.
Where I'm like, all right, I'm done with this conversation.
Yeah.
I've got like a mute file on my Instagram of people that just, they don't stop messaging you. And like, there's some that are going like 50 messages deep.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, I will maybe never check that message again.
This is one of the reasons that I don't think it's good to have your artist's info. Ever.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. I don't think a line of communication to the tattooer is
Unless
smart.
you've gone
I saw it
beyond.
with Lee. I saw it with Lee all the time.
Unless you've gone beyond the point of like say me and Lee still talk now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like he's not even in town. He hasn't tattooed me in a year and a half.
Yeah.
We still chat.
Oh, yeah.
You know
But
what
that's
I mean?
different.
Yeah,
that's
that's not
what
the
I'm
same.
saying. That's
I'm
the
saying
only time when
I'm saying on the law of averages.
yeah.
Like most people aren't you.
You're not
Well,
dictating
just
a
to be honest
tattoo.
with
It
you.
should really work out that
Rick at
everyone
night.
has to only talk with Kevin until they've had 2 full sits.
Oh, at least.
And then the artist decides, you know what, for your next piece, I'm just going to call you directly and ask you for your ideas.
That was a real
until
problem
then-
with Lee. I could even see it. Like he had so many buddies. It
Well,
must
that was
have been a
why-
nightmare to try and book him.
That was why. Well, what I ended up having to try and get him to say was, "Sorry, I don't handle my calendar. Just get in touch with Kev. He'll help you out." That
Well,
because
Jamie's
then,
running his books now.
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
she?
yeah. Well, Rayleigh is, but
Oh no, okay.
But either way, it's that whole like. Then it doesn't matter the buddy. You know what I mean? Because then you've got you feel like you've been given it from the artist. You've been given this special direct line of communication, right? Even though it's not direct, it's indirect. But you still feel taken care of as the client. And then Lee doesn't have to deal with that, or any artist doesn't have to deal with that.
Right.
Because like you get to a point where unless you have a rapport with the client where they'll kind of let you do what you want to do, it becomes overwhelming, and then all of a sudden you don't want to do it. You dread the appointment. You dread dealing with that client. You dread emailing you dread opening your email. You dread opening your Instagram. Everything that would make you not want to progress as an artist.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's
on the
special.
business side, right?
Like, everyone's become special.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you've got a full book of special.
Yeah, and
this
everybody
guy needs this, and this person gets this thing, and this special deal for this guy.
and good fucking luck keeping track of it. Like, there's just no way around it.
But for that person, they're only dealing with one artist.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it be special?
Yeah,
right?
and it's their special thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like you can get both sides of it, but at the same time, it's like it's not a good way to run a business.
No.
That's why, like, when Craig was stopping, he was explaining to me what was stressing him out, and I was just like, dude, I could handle that for you in
Sarah's
no
very
time.
upset that he's
I'm not upset. I would like Craig to come back to tattooing.
Well, I've told him exactly what burned him out.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this many times.
He's tattooing all of his friends.
Well, everybody is his friend.
You know,
at
yeah,
that point in
exactly,
time.
because
And
he's really friendly.
Everybody has the expectation on the Instagram, and everybody will get annoyed if you don't get back to them. And if I don't get back to someone, that's because I have 90 emails ahead of them, and I will just flat out say it. Like, sorry, you're not the only one in this list, and this is you're going to get dealt with as you get dealt with. Yeah,
and it's not about being mean either.
It's just an efficiency
You
thing.
need to be sterile.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
just straight to the point, just cutting the dead weight, you know?
These are the two areas that I see is scheduling is difficult, so you need a middleman, and taking money. Those are the two things that artists seem to have a real hard time with. Some of them don't.
I was going to say, taking money's not a problem for me.
Yeah, see?
Oh, I
No
don't
issue.
think Rick has any trouble taking
No.
money.
Yeah.
He's never had trouble taking money.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and nor should he.
I think Lee had a little bit of trouble
He
taking
did.
money.
Especially since Lee works so fast, and he does the kind of by the piece thing, and then all of a sudden he starts to kind of go, well, it's only this, baby. Blah, 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 blah. Whereas I always had to look at it like, okay, what does it look like? How big is it? How much would it cost if you got it somewhere else? Okay, it should probably be about the same.
Well, because even when I first got tattooed by him, it felt like it was too little. Like, he did a full portrait on me, first tattoo. It was like $350.
Yeah.
It's like I would have been paying $700 to the guy working next to him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And they did it arguably as good, just different.
Yeah, different style.
Like
but
different style, but they both did a great job. Twice as much for the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. And I know because I had that tattoo.
Yeah.
Right? I had that tattoo done a couple times.
You're the guy with the experience to know.
Right. I've had the same done by another guy for more.
Yeah.
So,
This is one of those things where it's like you got to be able to acknowledge what it is and how much it's worth, and those are kind of the standards for an artist. But when you're everyone's friend, it's really hard.
And then how much behind the scenes is that artist doing drawing? And
That's the
that's
trick.
like unpaid time. Like,
Yeah.
I always think that's crazy that you
Su-
sat and drew
super
that
unpaid.
lady
It's
like
not
a million
unpaid,
things.
It's just unpaid.
Yeah, it sucks because
Yeah.
I mean the tattoo, the end result, like that you're getting paid. You should be, in a way, be getting paid for the time that you're spending for drawing. So the more that you're sitting there drawing that person's tattoo over and over again, the more you're basically losing money.
Oh, yeah.
I'll add some onto this from that story from before, like my appointment coming up on. Oh, Thursday's tomorrow now. So my appointment for tomorrow.
oh no.
Later in the conversation, when I was pulling the like, okay, I got to bail. Like, we'll figure it out on Thursday. He actually pulled the.
Thursday's coming up.
He
Scott.
actually pulled the classic line of like, well, just make a few up and I'll choose one.
Oh, jeez.
Like, what the heck are you talking about,
Yeah,
man?
okay,
That's
I'll stay up till
insane.
5
It's when
in
you
the
got to
morning.
start charging.
That's when you go to a restaurant and you
Yeah.
go like,
if
how
I
do you
draw
want your
you
steak?
a couple, it'll be
Go get each way,
this much.
Yeah.
per
and then I'll try.
Oh, no,
I'll
I
try
know.
all of them,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I'll order the one that I liked.
Yeah, one of the most annoying things for us is like they want to try something before they order
Yeah.
it. And it's like, you know,
Do you do
everything
that?
costs, right? Yeah, people will be,
Wow.
wow. And or they'll
Let me
ask the
cook you
server,
a
how is
sample
the
of
such
this?"
and such today? Like, it's like, what do you mean today? It's always the same. Like, or like, what's your opinion of this thing? Just order the fucking food. Just, why you gotta be so weird and petty. Just get the burger and shut your mouth.
Well, I think it might be things they hear on TV, so they
Oh,
try
yeah,
and
yeah.
Everyone's trying
They
to
wanna
be.
be
Everyone's trying to be
fancy.
fancy. Where
Yeah,
it's like,
everybody thinks like I got a $20 bill here and I'm entitled to a decent meal. God damn it! It's like yeah. Okay.
meanwhile, the restaurant's gonna be fine. It's gonna feed you. You'll be okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this big of a deal. I could see making more of a big deal for a tattoo.
Do you want a little
Yeah.
healthier?
Hopefully.
Get the chicken salad.
Yeah.
Do you want a little less healthy?
get the
fish
chicken
and
salad
chips.
sandwich.
Or like,
Pretty
if you're
much.
ordering from like a 5-star restaurant, it's like
Good
that's
luck,
different
like-
too.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah,
that's
but-
where that
Well,
comes
that
in.
if
Where
you go
you're
to a
like,
5-star restaurant, you don't
how
choose
is it
anything.
You don't
today?
choose anything. There's no substitutions in a 5-star
Yeah.
restaurant.
Not
you
to
go.
substitute, but asking how the product is, and they
They'll
can
have
tell
like
you.
at a 5-star restaurant, they'll give you a card.
Chef
they won't give you a
so-and-so did
menu.
it.
They'll
Yeah.
give you a
It's
card.
glorious.
Here
This is
are
what you're
our
experiencing.
options. This
Yeah.
is what you get.
Yeah. Well, we
It's
went
$80
to
for anything.
one of those in Kelowna, and it was just it was a 7-course tasting menu.
Yep.
It was like, hey, this is what it is. We'll explain to you what it is, but you're all getting the same thing. So hopefully you like it.
Whereas
fun.
where I work,
It was fun.
we have a rule: don't put anything on the menu that people won't understand as soon as they read it. Like,
Right.
if you have to
Oh,
ask
yeah,
a
yeah.
question, they're not ordering it.
Well, or they put pictures, and that helps too.
Big
also-
pictures
Love
of
pictures.
burgers all
That's
over
also
the
your
windows.
demographic.
That's what the
though.
pancakes look like.
Yeah.
In Japan, they put the food in the window,
Oh,
so you
yeah,
can
yeah.
see it visually. I've
Watch
seen
it just slowly.
This is what
Online.
my
I
meal
really
would look
want
like
this.
stale.
Well, I mean, I think it's like fake, but it looks good enough to be
Right.
the real thing. So
Starbucks
you
style.
can just like walk by and be like, "Oh, that looks really good."
Yeah, the Starbucks,
That.
their pastries are always so dry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just like eating a
Don't go
piece
there
of
for the
wood.
pastries.
Don't order a sandwich from Starbucks.
Thank
ever.
you, yeah.
Like I've been in airports where there's no real food anywhere, and
that's the
you're
last
like,
choice.
okay, I'll just get a Starbucks sandwich.
Yeah,
How
and it
bad
looks
could it
good.
be? It's $37. It can't be that bad. No,
Right.
turns out it's 2 pieces of super stale rye bread with a
Yeah.
little bit of ham and lettuce and cheese. And none of it's good.
No,
And
it's never good.
I can
But-
barely do it, and I have to go to the water fountain the whole time to get it down my throat.
Yeah.
When you're looking
Blah.
at it in the plastic bins, it's like, oh, that looks edible.
Oh,
And
I
then
mean-
you get it out, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, it's
Special
rubber
bins.
and wooden at the same time.
This is rubber wood.
I got a splinter.
How?
How does splinter?
I got a really soft splinter. This is weird.
And it's like, yeah, it's even in town here, it's like $5.50 for like a piece of bread there. Like you
Yeah.
get their pumpkin loaf
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like $5, and it's dry as fuck.
Yeah.
And you can go to
Which, like,
Walmart and get
fi-
a package for the same-
$5 for a neat treat is nothing if it's good.
Yeah.
If it satisfies
Yeah,
you
exactly.
in some way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if it's gonna be like, you have got to try this.
But if it's-
it is really good.
It's like this is your only option. It's overpriced, and you're barely gonna choke it down. You're like a seagull swallowing a whole fish.
it's amazing though. Like, there'll be like one thing at a place that you just have to go there for.
Yeah.
Like they have a London Fog over at the Penny, and it's the only London Fog that I can recommend. They serve
Really?
it to you in a special bowl, and they get it nice and frothy. It's the only thing they use these bowls for. It's like a hidden gem of that place.
I might get one of those today.
It's
I might
really,
go sit
really
there
good.
and draw and drink a London Fog.
Quite
It
good.
is very good.
Oh, and you should get the spicy grilled cheese.
Okay.
Oh
It's
yeah, that is actually
unreal.
really good.
That's such a
They
good
have a couple
sandwich.
really good sandwiches
Okay.
there.
Yeah, they've got some good stuff in there, but
Their
like,
vegetarian sandwich is amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's me, like the next to carnivore person that I am.
yeah,
Their
I'm pretty well
vegetarian
there
sandwich
too.
is unreal good.
Like, it would have to be pretty good for me to care about it
Yeah.
because I'm a very meaty person
Yeah.
too.
No, it's delicious.
Very good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun in like those little places. They'll have like that one thing that you just have to go there for. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess that could be the same with tattoos too. Because we were talking about this the last time Sarah was here, and I'm like, for the most part, I think that anyone, or not anyone, but any great artist can do a bit of everything to some extent.
They can do it.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not they can do it at a high level.
Right.
There's
We
still
talked
a
about
lot
this
of
last
real
time.
good guys where you'll be following them for a while, and all of a sudden they'll kind of like post or story something in a wacky different style you never expected to see from them.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. Like,
Yeah,
there's-
that's true.
There's a few
Well,
guys
they-
like Anthony Fleming in Calgary. He's the kind of guy where like I didn't start following him until a year ago, and at first like, oh, he kind of does this like semi-color realism thing, and all of a sudden you're like, what the fuck is this? This is incredible in a whole different style. Suddenly
They're
he's
only in their story though, right?
Usually,
For the most
yeah.
part.
Because
Yeah.
they're
They
not
wanna
trying to
keep
push
their
that.
feed what they want to be doing.
Consistent, exactly.
It's
But
like-
meanwhile, he's got all the other skills. Don't you worry.
Lee told me that Jamie was giving him shit one time. I think I've told you this before, but because he didn't post me very often when he was working on me. And I was like, no, why would he? He doesn't want this all the time.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be doing blackout work all the time.
Neither does Rick.
Right. So why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you post that? Because it's an advertisement. Hey, come get this.
But then that's one of those things where it's like, you have to know, what are you posting? Because that's your advertising.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
It's
like
just
if you're
your ad.
advertising everything, that's one of the things that sucks with Rick. Is like he has these like beautiful color floral things, and they're posted, and so people go, "Oh,
And he
he
doesn't wanna do
really
them.
does amazing! Look at that lily. That's really gorgeous. He must love this." No,
And then he says to Kevin, no more fucking flowers.
No more fucking flowers.
I don't want to do any more of this girly stuff.
Yeah.
I want horror.
Yeah. So that's where like I'm trying to help him steer his thing towards that.
Good
Because
luck.
like, yeah, Jesus, I know. But he's
You're
got
in,
a bunch
you're
of
in the wilderness.
he does have a bunch of projects going on now that if they can ever get finished, it'll
Elves.
yeah. no, not that one.
Leprechauns.
Not,
He's doing
not
a
elves?
leprechaun tattoo?
No,
He
I
is.
meant
He's
No,
actually doing a
leprechaun
whole leprechaun
sleeve,
sleeve.
buddy.
Oh, jeez. Are they
yeah.
scary leprechauns? Please be.
They're cool. They're
They're-
like drunkards.
Yeah. Definitely drunk
I really want to
leprechauns.
see this.
They're really cool.
Yeah, but he's got that. He's doing like a Fear and Loathing thing. He's got a bunch of like horror weird
I'm
shit
jealous
going
of the
on.
Fear and Loathing one.
I know, that's so cool. We don't get enough cool stuff.
Yeah. And the Fear and Loathing one was really cool, particularly. It comes a little low contrast when you printed off all the references on paper, but it's heavily like blue lighting here, red lighting and flesh tones here. So on skin, it's actually going to be really great contrast.
And we had to we went through the movie and pulled screenshots.
Yeah.
Like we
Because
did it
there
as
wasn't good enough references.
there was nothing really.
Really?
Like there was always just these shitty blurry photos. So just we went into Netflix, cruised through, screen captured and assembled, and it's like that's a cool way of doing something.
Well, that's
know what I
like
mean?
a completely unique.
Oh yeah, no one's gonna have that, which is dope. And I wish we could do that more often.
Well,
It's
there's
hard
only-
to find unique references.
Well, and most people don't want unique tattoos either.
No, they like the
want,
thing that they saw.
Give me that thing that guy over there has. It looks good on him.
It's
Yeah.
the lion, the same lion, and the same reference of the lion, and they bring you that lion.
There's
and
only
yeah, I
12
want this lion.
lions.
Yeah, there's
So
only
it's
a
way a
handful.
lot.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
There's maybe a dozen lions.
And you're not going to Africa to get a new lion.
No.
That's
Well,
not
even
happening.
if you did, you might not get a better lion.
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah. How do you not only have to go find a lion and take a picture of it, you got to get the right lighting.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man,
You got to pay
You're
that
really
lion's
killing me
union
with
rate.
this lighting there, bud. Just give it a name. Hey, Sam, get over here. I need some better lighting on you.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah, pretty well.
I'm not getting your.
I'm
good
seeing
side
the
here,
left
pal.
tooth, but can you snarl a little bit more on the
just
right?
a 400-pound lion on a leash. Like,
Yeah,
He's
it's
a
not
model.
working. Weird how cats don't listen well.
Yeah.
yeah. Even house cats.
Yeah.
Get a good picture of a house cat. It's tough.
The lion's a little bloated today. He's not ready for photos.
Okay, I got a question. So, for when you're doing your references when you're tattooing, do you go to a database that is paid, or do you just Google? Is there like
Just Google and Pinterest, yeah.
Google.
I was
There are a
curious if
couple
someone
of-
created a database.
There's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 now that more people are starting to use, and it does get you more like creative references.
Yeah, because like as a photographer, I'd be like, I'm gonna put these out here for tattooers to use.
Well, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the cool thing is like if you go through one of those, that photographer gets
money.
money.
Yeah.
Which is like ideal because that's
Yeah.
their art form. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like a majority of these things, if they can show up on Google, there's
Yeah.
no real legal issue, right?
Right. Oh no, because Google is like basically free.
Yeah.
Basically.
So it's a little bit tricky in that because like obviously people are cheap, and when you're dealing with a majority of the industry is people taking other people's tattoos to show you,
Right.
then all of a sudden it's like, okay, guess what? I'm going to go pay for a unique reference because I want to really assemble you this thing, and then you're going to be upset about it because it's not
Right.
exactly
You have
the thing you showed
no
me.
idea how many times I've taken hours, and especially when it comes to like any of the gods like Zeus, Poseidon, whatever.
Oh, man.
I've really gone to the effort of like taking an old man's face and turning it into this, and really going above and beyond to not give them the same tattoo they showed me. And like, I'm adding wind swooshes and flowers, and I'm doing stuff to really make it theirs. And they walk in, and they're like, oh, well, I really just wanted like
This.
that same. And then you go find them another similar one. Like, no, I really just want that reference.
Yeah.
I just can't comprehend it. I don't think I think it's because I draw myself, but I just
Yeah.
I can't comprehend coming to you and being like, well, these flowers, I thought we should do them like this. Right? When I was just like, this is the kind of flower I want, have fun.
Well, no, I actually want a lily of the valley, but I didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said a wild rose, but
Why
I
don't you
really,
know?
really meant a lily of the
You're
valley.
supposed to be a mind reader.
And it has to be
Yeah.
this shape. I didn't tell you that, but
It's
I
also
just,
going to be in a
like-
different location.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
no longer wanted it on my forearm. I wanted it on my ass cheek instead.
I don't know. I just feel like we need to move back to you're paying for someone who is doing
No,
what
no,
you want.
That's not going to happen.
Well, yes, it does happen, but it's not going to happen for everybody.
But it won't be happening. Like, what I mean to say by that is you'll get to that point naturally when you're getting tattooed lots. But
Yeah.
it's more likely as you broaden the spectrum of people who want tattoos, you're going to get even more indecisive people coming.
It's why you get finger inner tattoos that everybody just wants
and
right
they
now.
come off like
Oh,
in a second.
what a bad idea. What an absolutely ridiculous idea.
Who would get one of those?
Who would get one of those?
Yeah, I don't know.
Some
Yeah.
guy with 98 jobs.
But like, yeah, exactly. But
Someone who could touch it up
suits
themselves.
you.
That's it.
That's
Right?
it.
Oh yeah.
Like, it
also,
makes
also,
sense.
I went into it knowing it's gonna be
Yeah, a
kind
blob.
of shitty and
right.
fadey, whatever.
That's what
It was like the inner lip tattoos, though. Lots of
Oh.
people got those because they came off, right?
Oh, they
But-
actually hold better if you do them right.
right?
They
And
hold
I've
better
seen
than the finger.
this, there are some people walking with the F word in the middle of their lips
Yep.
still on the inside, and they were like, it was going to come
or
off.
bite me or any of that
Yeah.
stuff. That,
Yeah. I remember a buddy of mine was... he had the word fuck put on the upper inner lip, and then his parents found out, and so he had his buddy try and change it to Psalms. So funny.
Songs?
Yeah, Psalms
How do your-
like the Bible
Oh my god.
chapter.
I don't even know how
Parents
you-
find out.
Oh, dude.
Oh, I got a tattoo in here.
Hey guys.
Well, because you're,
what's
like,
for dinner tonight?
Well, it just happens.
Social media.
Social
exactly.
Yeah,
there
it
you
must
go.
have been.
That's
social
exactly
media.
how that happened.
Or a sibling rats you out.
I'll
Yeah,
tell
that's
ya.
what happened with my moon. I was like, I showed my siblings I got a moon tattoo, and my mom goes, "You got a moon tattoo?" And I'm like, "Damn, brothers."
Well, I think ever since Sarah's
Under
been
the bus.
with me, particularly, her mom probably thinks she's going to end up getting as tattooed as I am.
Yeah, she always goes, "You're not getting any more face tattoos, right?" I'm like, I don't know.
It's all an evolution.
We'll see
Talk to
where
me
we
in a
go.
week.
I'll tell you what's strange is seeing people who have like messaged me and been like, "I got this tattoo because of you," right?
Ooh.
And then it'll be like part of the jawline is the same as mine, or like the eye. A guy got my eye tattooed on his neck, like on his throat. It's very poorly done.
Oh, boy.
Like it's very very poorly done.
Someone who
Like, it
wants
looks like it
your
was done-
tattoos on them is likely to go there. and
Right,
get
it was done basically there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not.
You can tell.
And it's the same eye, and it's
Oh,
like
that's so bad.
I don't feel flattered. I feel not frustrated, but sad for you.
And scared.
Yeah.
It's
Cheapened.
Not no, because it doesn't bother me. People can imitate
It doesn't
me.
violate you any.
I don't care. Go ahead and imitate me. I don't care. Nothing I have, I'm
Just-
particularly attached.
Just someone
to that
needs
way.
someone needs a better goal. and
Yes,
a better purpose for
exactly.
doing stuff.
It's very sad to do that. I think.
It's like I saw you on Instagram and I got your tattoo.
Why not go? That looks cool, but I want to create my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most people aren't. I don't know if most people know how to be unique.
Yeah.
Because I think they get told that they need to be unique, so
Or
they look
this-
for inspirations
or
of
this
how
person-
other people have done it.
This person likely brought your reference to their artist as like, hey, this is pretty cool. Can you do something like this? And the artist
They
just
took
like
the
did
picture
as
and they drew it.
Yeah, the artist did just as close to that as they
They
possibly
stenciled
could.
it
Well,
out.
someone asked
They
me
traced
for
it.
a picture of one of the bats I had tattooed on my leg because they wanted to get that tattooed, but it was an original drawing, so it was like they were looking for that bat on Pinterest or something.
You say you contact this artist and see if they want to sell you the drawings that your artist can-
That's right. Exactly.
The one in
That's
here.
the proper way to do that.
It was a really cool bat, and like it was actually one of my favorite tattoos on all of my leg. Like either.
How's
leg.
it looking right now?
What, the bat? Nice and black. Yeah, he's long gone.
Yep.
I actually did a TikTok video that went pretty good, where I I wrote during the video with text, "Bye bye baddie."
Aw.
He was like getting blacked out by Rick mercilessly.
Yeah.
Like, because Rick didn't approach it in any kind of poetic manner.
No, of course
It's
not.
just he's just in the middle of the bat's face beginning. Just, it's like we didn't even finish blocking him out that day.
Yeah.
He still had like
Left
an
him there
ear
a little
left.
bit, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like the bat is now half covered in black.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It would have been fun though to intentionally do a few of those cover-ups where, like, for example, the little Lego guys, or not Lego guys, but pixelated guys in your ankle. If you had just started, like, take a good long video and just start by brushing gently over top of it and wiping each layer, so it slowly gets
That would
like
involve
gray over top.
a lot of cooperation on Rick's end.
Yeah.
And Rick is not going that extra
Well,
step.
especially if
Lee
you explain
would've.
why.
Yeah.
Lee would
If
have
you explain,
loved
like,
it.
hey, no, I want to put this up on TikTok, he'd be like, fuck you. And then,
Yeah, exactly. And then he'd do it extra.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
he'd do it.
Done.
But see, Lee,
Yeah, well,
Lee
then he would
enjoyed
black
that.
out
Yeah,
half
oh,
of
yeah.
it solid and leave the other half totally blank for next time.
Yeah.
you know?
We had when I had that Love Lost tattoo, they did like him and Jamie did like 4 videos of Lee blacking over the banner that says Love Lost, and then they did a slow motion, like a close-up slow motion of him killing that tattoo because it was such a cool moment to capture.
Yeah.
But like he was more interested in the drama of things always.
Oh, yeah.
Right, where Rick is just a surgeon. Like, he's
Yeah.
just taking care of business kind of thing.
Yep.
It's just like a killing machine or something. Like it's hard to describe the way he operates, but it's void of
killing
any
machine.
compassion for humanity, which is fine by me. But I could see that scaring someone.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I love it. Every time that someone comes in for a consultation, they like have this look on their face of like, what am I doing?
yeah, I'm gonna work with this guy.
I'm not reassured.
Is
Like,
he
there's-
really blunt?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's gonna hurt, and you're gonna heal it this way.
I've
Well,
never
if they're-
heard him
well,
say
it's your
that.
fault.
If they're in pain, he'll just be laughing.
Ah,
Yeah, you see that video where
Yeah.
he's just giggling when I'm in pain.
Yeah.
I've gone to an artist like that. He was
Yeah.
very intimidating. He's like, it's gonna hurt. I go really fast. I wipe lots, and that's gonna hurt.
There was
You're
a-
just gonna deal with it. And I was like, yes,
There was
sir.
a guy working on his.
Yes, sir.
There was a guy working on his like inner forearm or something, and Rick's tattooing him, and he like pulls his hat down and like kind of is starting to tear up because
Oh,
it's hurting
no.
so much.
Oh, my goodness.
And Rick's just like, you know, fucking cry. And just starts laughing at him.
That is a
It's
little
one of those
bit.
like, oh man, just ruthless.
It's like it never has ever broached tears for me.
Yeah.
Like I've never had that kind of response. Does it make
That-
you teary?
No.
No.
Have you
Is
ever
it
been
different?
teary?
It
I
might
don't-
not
I
have
don't
been
know.
teary. He might have just been gristling in pain.
I have like
You know what I mean? But
watery
he was,
eyes
like,
generally. So.
He was not really wanting to show weakness.
Yeah.
And in doing so, he showed weakness.
Yeah.
That's just how it worked.
Well, you got to face it to some degree.
Oh yeah.
I just complain usually.
Do you?
Yeah.
I try not
Well,
to
you-
Yeah,
complain.
I don't think I've
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
seen
fair.
you getting
You can
that.
admit it.
You know what I mean? I complain
Yeah.
a bit when it gets into like a certain time.
So what would you say is a complaint you would make? Like
So
be honest.
complaining
Ow.
can be.
That's smarts.
What the fuck, man?
Ow! Why are you doing that?
Means a lot of things. The first signs that someone's like starting to not be able to hold it in so well, they start talking about the pain. They start
Yeah.
talking about where tattoos hurt more,
Yeah.
and what the feeling is like. And they really just that's how the complaining starts.
It's just like
Yeah.
focusing on it.
yeah,
I
they
feel like
start
that's
really,
the wrong approach.
Well,
Yeah.
obviously, yes.
Yeah, because you're
Just
just
ignore it.
Like I don't ever let on. Like I'll just be
Yeah.
like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like if someone says, "How's that feeling?" It's always like it feels like it you know,
Yeah.
what it is.
Oh, you know what I'll say? I'll say, so where are we at?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Which is like, how much longer?
I know what that means.
That's usually for me. That usually
think
means that I'm
that.
like ready
Yeah.
to be
I
done.
think that,
ish.
but I
I'm
don't
like, how much
vocalize
more?
it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you start vocalizing those things, you're like almost, you're like signing to the universe that you're giving up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Getting weaker.
so
you're showing your hand.
I had an hour with one of my clients on Monday just to darken up a few things in his half sleeve. He
Yep.
just like, he had some light shading in his background. He wanted it more like black and dark. So cool, come on in for an hour. And at first he started out kind of going like, how long do you think this is going to take? It's like 20, 30 minutes. I'm like, nah, it's probably going to be at least 45, probably an hour. We kind of planned for an hour today. It's probably going to take about that. So I'm doing an like every phase of the way he'd be like, so yeah, probably like another 10, right?
What?
I was like, well, we're only 15
What is
in,
it
so-
only worth it if it's going to take 10 minutes? Like
Well-
that's a
well-
crazy thing to be thinking.
Well, no, he was just wearing his heart in his sleeve a little bit, and he was trying to get to Calgary like right after
Oh.
that. So he's just a
He
little
was
bit
on
like,
a timeline.
you know.
Yep.
This is
So are
the
the-
state I never want to get tattooed in.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
rush.
Yeah.
In a this tattoos is not a thing to rush.
No.
This is what drives me nuts about people when they're like, so can we just finish it, or can we like do that all today, or like I had the
No, that's the
email
right
of-
attitude.
No,
You can do it all today.
Well-
just keep going.
no, it's gonna be whatever it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean.
There's
like
a point
if
of
it's-
diminishing returns too, I think.
Yeah. Oh, there definitely is.
Oh, you
It's
have to
harder.
admit defeat when your body gives up.
Well, the attitude I go with is I build them up for like, oh yeah, we're gonna do as much as we can today. We might not get all this done. Like it will take this many hours to get this whole thing done, etc. If it's literally too much for a whole day, but I'll push them as far as I can. And the best way to do that is be like, oh yeah, we're gonna work as long as we can. Like we're really gonna try to get it all done today.
Better
Yeah.
for you to
And-
be motivating.
Well, and
too.
and that way they're sitting there like they're planning on it being 7 hours, and if you get to the 5 hour point and you've got enough done for today, and you're like, let's just call it there, and they're like, okay, thank God,
Yeah.
I'm ready
okay,
to-
good, yeah.
Well, then they've done something wise. They've left it in your hands, which I think
Exactly.
is the right way to look at it. Because realistically,
Well, I've
if
got-
their skin sucks, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, your skin's done, then they've left that in your hands.
Well, I've got
too.
them inspired and motivated to go as long as I want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which I think is the healthier way. Like, I think with your like when you're tattooing me.
It's their sleeve. It's my project.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got to plan out my workflow.
I think when I was getting tattooed by you, I think I called it a couple times just because I knew we were going to take a while.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Plus,
Well,
it's
if
one of
you're
my first ever
working
black
on-
and gray pieces.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
massive piece, like
Yeah.
for example, what Rick and I have started.
Your
Like-
whole body.
Yeah, because it is. Because it's gonna be sleeves and everything.
See, when you start your whole body.
Well, really, when you have like a
the third
large
time.
scope,
Yeah.
it's kind of like I'm gonna have days like the first lining session was like 4.5 hours,
Ooh,
which is a long day for lining. We
That's
do all
still-
the
That sounds like
lot
torture.
Of lining.
the
That
tentacles
is
that we
torture.
Yeah.
started with, and then the last week it was only like 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
and then I don't know what I'm in for today. I have no idea. I don't know ever. I don't care either. We'll get as much done as Rick wants to. Like, because like if he said let's add one more tentacle, sure, I'm going as long as he's going.
No, I think one less tentacle today.
Yeah,
right?
no. One less tentacle, but no, like
Take one away.
I think these are the kinds of things that you don't want. You don't want an artist getting tired on, too, because I had with my first torso where it was like very clearly too much to even
yeah.
imagine for the guy doing it, and he was looking at it with tired eyes immediately,
For like an hour
where it was like
before every
almost
session.
dizzy. Like, what do we do now?
Staring
Really?
at it. Yeah, I witnessed a
Yeah.
few times. He would just, because I was getting tattooed by another artist in the shop at the same time, and he would just stare at it, drag his feet, be like,
Yeah.
well, and then
Wow.
someone would come in and he'd chat with them because it was anything but the tattoo.
That's not
'cause
a
he was
good
just
sign.
so done at
Well, he
that
was-
point.
Incredibly intimidated by the
This
size
is all.
scope. of
This is also a
things.
human nature thing, because as a tattoo artist, you're a contractor, and you have a lot of freedom within your space and time of your work area, right? So that allows you, or that gives you the prerogative where you kind of have to get your mental game in order. You got to be prepared enough, and you got to be like confident and forward moving enough that when someone comes in, like you're gonna have super hard days. You're like, oh, this person really wants this, and this art's gonna be tricky because of this, or it healed like that. It's gonna be a difficult one today. You've really got to wrap your mind into it and just get into it and make it right. But it shows human nature. There's a lot of people when they get to a hard day, they're like, oh man, I'm just going to stall as long as I can.
Right.
And maybe we'll all die before I have to do anything.
Maybe the building will be struck by lightning or something.
Yeah.
No, my
I've
next
heard
appointment will
I've
show
heard an
up.
asteroid's coming around, so
Maybe a bomb will go off and we won't have the tattoo today.
that
Well,
sounds
Well, there
great.
was no next appointment coming because he had me, and that was it.
Oh.
That day, I had Thursdays every week. Right, that was my day. I owned that day at that shop. I was like, when they opened that shop, I was like almost like an investor in their company,
Well, you were 20% of their business.
at least.
And you brought, like,
and I brought with me even
lots
then.
of people.
Like I was a
He brought
huge.
people.
Yeah, I was modeling shirts for them, and that was a huge investment for them. So like, I think it became like, well, we got to keep this guy happy, and I agreed to do this, but I can't do this, but I have to finish this because it's.
Yeah.
And then he never finished it.
He was indebted to you.
It was never finished. Like there was so much work that needed to be done, and that's what I don't want to do with this. Where I just want to take it like bite by bite and go at the pace that we're all comfortable with, and not have another no
Yeah.
section.
But you're gonna black it out again.
No, I don't want to.
Guaranteed.
I want this to be.
And finding an
Almost
artist,
predict it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it again. I don't want to do blackout again.
finding an
Blacking
artist
out my
that
stomach
can.
again makes me sick to think about.
Ugh, that was gross.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
The lines aren't too bad.
That's what you last week he came home and he goes, I haven't been tattooed like that in forever. It was just like I don't feel sore, and I was like,
I don't feel sore. I made homemade pizza after. Fine. I
I
wasn't
have
all
so much
banged
energy?
up and destroyed.
That's interesting. I mean, line work, I just hate the feeling of in its specificity,
It's
but
just-
it's like it's really easy to heal.
It's really easy to heal, and I don't feel all banged up after. I just feel like that typical tattoo sore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel a little sore after a tattoo, like you should. But the blackout sessions, even when Rick was doing them, even when Lee was doing them, it was just like, I just need to lay down.
Feels like you got hit with a hammer.
Yeah,
Like, I
I
can't
just-
imagine the blackouts in your stomach. You must feel like you've got a hernia.
Well, anywhere
you're just
too.
ill.
It was just like I was just so tired that I had no energy for that day, and then I'd wake up in the morning feeling like I barely slept.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And sometimes it was like that for days. It was like
That
the whole
sounds-
body was just
That
That
exhausted.
sounds awful.
Not
Well, you
good.
just covered so much area with a blackout,
Yeah.
right?
And
'Cause
it's
you
full
move so
saturation,
fast,
right?
You don't even have to think. It's not like, so you could say that you're going to do more trauma because you've said this before, and I agree. When you do full color piece, you're doing more trauma to that area.
Yeah.
But when you're doing a blackout, you're moving so fast because it's
Right.
just one color that you're getting this giant chunk done.
That's it.
And
It's
the
a
body's
larger
like,
surface area of full saturation.
yeah, the body's like, what have you done to me? Like, I'm dying here. And so,
But that's also where, like, with the way that you've done it in terms of the extreme areas that you're covering, I mean, a majority of people going into a blackout session, they're not going to be able to cover the same amount of
No.
space.
no.
So they probably won't understand the endurance that has come with that. Or
'Cause they're not
unless
doing a whole
you're
arm.
going to Hood or something like that and you're getting your full arm in 2 hours, like,
There's a couple of them.
that's got to be the worst
that
feeling.
Chacho Navarro guy,
Yeah.
and like three crosses. And,
You got to feel like you just want to cut that arm off. Like it's been crushed.
yeah, I know.
And the swelling and the
Yeah. You're going to hold it up the whole
Bruising.
time just to try and have the blood drain out of it.
But no, the lining has been like
Wonder if that would
pretty
help.
easy.
Probably.
I
over
always
time.
tell Jeremy to like elevate things when they're swollen.
Yeah.
Like, you
it's
put
like if you
that-
sprain your
you
ankle
put
or
your
anything
foot
like
up.
that. Yeah, you just
I had a
So-
nurse tell me once to do it. I had one of my like leg tattoos like swelled for weeks.
You were gonna bring something up here. We ran you over.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
sorry.
that was to a topic we finished ages ago. Also, I'm distracted now. So in
Fair
theory,
enough.
suppose I'm tattooing someone and they're pretty swollen and red, because like it's pretty common, especially in black and gray, where you're doing all these like light whip shadings out. The redness in the skin will actually be darker than
Yep.
the ink in the skin. So I'm always looking for a
That was
way
my
to
Sunday.
get rid of that red.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I wonder if I was to get them to hold their arm up while we're taking a little coffee break, whatever, if that would help at all.
I mean, it really depends as to where the tattoo is. Like, if you
Well, I
wanted...
mean, it's on their foot.
I would suggest
Hold your arm up
Hold your arm
Ask
as
up.
I'm
Jamie.
tattooing your leg.
Jamie's a nurse, right? I bet you Jamie would know the answer to that.
But,
She
like,
does.
okay, so
Yeah.
so say you're doing an upper arm.
Yeah.
Right? If you were to have them lie down on their side and hold their hand up, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because you get the
Because I
blood
played
moving.
a little bit with like sometimes I give people a little bit of what's the one? Not ibuprofen, or it is ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give people a little ibuprofen, or at the end I'll use a little bit of a witch's hazel to wash them. And the witch's
Yes.
hazel allegedly like closes the little cuts in the skin and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's good
right?
for your skin.
It's astringent, I think.
Yep.
Just apply a
So-
curse to them.
That's right.
It's good for it's good for
Plus, witch's hazel sounds so cool.
What was that? I just cursed you.
I just cursed you.
no witch
to
hazel's
bring down
good
the
for
redness.
swelling too.
Ask the blood to drain from your body. Sorry.
Good
Anyways,
for swelling too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Hazel.
yeah.
Yeah.
But ibuprofen during an appointment will increase the blood flow, right? Like it
it'll
thins
thin your blood. Yeah.
So
Oh,
you'll
you
be
don't bleed
bleeding.
anymore though.
I asked for since I'm tattooing mostly my buddies, I asked them to take CBD.
Oh,
and
yeah?
that seems to help.
Does it?
And you'll see it wear off as the tattoo goes, and then you just get them to take a little bit more.
So
and
it's
then
almost
that
like kid
helps.
gloves for you.
Yeah.
right? Like it's making your experience easier than it
Well,
will be.
that second tattoo I did on Scott scared the shit out of me. So
This
now I
is what
try
I'm
and avoid the
saying,
redness
though.
as much
Like,
as
a little bit of
possible.
kid gloving is not bad when you're
No, it's like training wheels.
because
It's way
like
better.
before this,
Yeah.
you're working on like pig skins and whatever else, right?
Yeah.
So then when you ramp up to human canvases, having those kid gloves probably not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like
as time goes on, you'll still find a way to work around even a really dark
Yeah.
red reaction in the skin, because you're kind of like getting into that spot and getting out. It still inhibits you. I'm not saying it's just as easy at all,
Yeah.
but you'll learn how to get into that spot, work your blacks, mids, and lights in, do an edge, and then move to the next space before. So you're not really needing to work on it too much after the redness has set in.
plus you kind of have to trust that you did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
it's something I
no matter
told
what.
Sarah
Yeah.
last
All
time
the
she's
times.
getting tattooed.
That's fair.
Yeah.
When she goes over to the mirror to see your tattoo you did on her, I was like, now remember, some of the red will be lighter.
That's right.
Like because it goes really really dark.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I haven't seen it healed yet, so
Well-
I've got to see how those leaves healed. Hopefully,
It's-
some of them are light and some of them are super dark.
It's really dark.
It's really dark. And
nice.
this,
It's glorious.
Which is what you asked for.
I'm good with that.
yeah. So this
It's
is something
glorious.
where I was going with this is you had said like, will this tattoo be as light as my other tattoos because it's super dark?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, most of that is because it
It's
wasn't
new.
necessarily shaded; it was line shaded.
That's
most of it.
right.
And as we know, lines stay darker.
That's it. Yeah, that's
Let's
the thing.
get-
You asked for dark. I'm like, well, lines are a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
way to make it
So
dark.
because
Base
I
and
don't
dark.
know the exact science on this, could either
Exact
of you
science in skin.
can either you attempt to explain to me why the liner particularly is darker than the shade?
The concentration
Yeah.
in the ideal layer of your dermis. So there's epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous. So the ink stays best in the dermis. So when you're shading, you're moving your machine a lot quicker with a larger spread. So there's more bending happening in the skin. So you're layering that ink into the same spot, but a little shallower in that same spot typically, and you're moving your hand faster, so there's less concentration of ink. Right? So even in your solid black, the ink is concentrated a little differently than
Yeah.
that finer point of that liner needle that has 9 needles in one small area.
There is no
This-
comparison between
Yeah.
this line and this blackout, and it was done by the same guy.
So you're pushing and that the black on black will be intentionally into that subcutaneous a
It's
teeny
just-
bit as well, right? So you've really pounded. So your hand is moving slower. You've got a higher concentration of needles per surface area, and the skin is moving less. So your needle's really putting the ink right there
Yeah.
every time, and you're moving slower, so it's really putting it right here the whole way around.
Yep.
Makes
It's
sense.
just like it's
And
mind-boggling.
for people
to me
listening
every
to this,
day
they just heard
still.
my voice start shaking, but they can't see that I'm moving my hands in some sort of illustrative
He's
way.
having a bit of a stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
finally lost it.
His newest job,
Yeah.
stroke victim.
Yes. That's not a
It's
job.
a full-time occupation.
Takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
So,
I can't have
What
another
were you doing
daytime
for
job
work
while
at
I'm
that
doing
time?
this.
I had
Well,
a
I was a
stroke.
stroke victim. What?
For about 6 months.
Yeah, it's still blowing my mind all the
retired.
time that like how much darker a line is than shading. It's crazy because then I've seen black lines get covered by black shading.
Well, that's.
How does that work?
I mean,
I have done this.
you have done this. Yep.
And then you
So-
put black lines back on top, and they stood out.
And they stand out? Why? Is this magic?
It's-
Well, so like an older tattoo too is going to be different.
they disperse.
Yeah, it settles in the skin over the course of a year or so.
Yes.
So even your hand and things like that, the way that line's going to settle
Yes.
is going to be different than it is.
It's going to
currently.
lighten up.
Well, I don't know if
It
you
already
call
has
it
a little bit in the last
lighten.
couple months.
I think you'd call it like smooth. You know what I mean? It'll
Yeah.
probably try and smooth itself out a little bit.
It's like my oldest example is going to be this moon because
Yeah.
this is November, and the line is still way darker than the shade.
Yeah.
So it's 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see how this all works because I don't
mean, you
have
and me
the
both.
answers, right?
Right?
But
What
people
is
keep
the-
asking
What
me
is
like,
the life of a...
yeah, like
moon
people
on your
keep
hand?
asking me for the answers. Will this last? And I'm like, well, I can give you some reasons why it could.
So far.
Ooh, I have a theory to posit here, a theory to push forward. So, suppose you already have some ink in your skin right here, right? When you go back in with that shader over top of that line, you're actually reopening that skin. You're hitting that dermis, and you're adding ink to the existing ink and kind of mixing it all up, right?
I'd say that's probably the most
And
accurate.
then, so now you've got a more homogeneous surface here. Once you've blacked out this hand over top of those lines, it's quite homogeneous. You can't see those old lines at all, per se. Then you come back in with some solid black, and now you add a bunch of solid black just to these areas with that liner in a very intense way. It's newer, it's fresher, and you've gone back into that previously healed area and only open up the one space this time.
What I keep thinking, my mind keeps going to is, like, so the new ink is going to fade, break down, whatever, but so the old ink will too.
Different
course.
rate.
But it should keep contrast alive.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, it'll lighten, but I don't think it's a matter of lightening. I think you're going to see it kind of soften.
Yeah.
Less of, like, oh, it's now the same shade as the other one. I don't think that happens.
Especially once Kevin starts
would
lasering
think.
the negative spaces.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I
Once
really
we get some
wanna
real
know.
sweet
Yeah,
laser
me
going.
too, man. That's super
I really,
cool.
really want to know.
Or even
I
so
lighting
much-
I have some
highlights.
blackout that's going to be a year old soon.
Yeah.
We should start doing some like laser designs in it.
Sure. That
wanna
sounds
know.
hard.
I want to
but
know
whatever.
what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just start easy. Happy
Yeah,
face.
yeah, we're just gonna do it. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, we can literally do it at a dot at a time. So, yeah,
Just a tiny penis.
sure.
Great.
I want to see.
Like, why wouldn't I get a
just wanna-
penis?
I just wanna know what
Anti-tattoo.
happens.
You couldn't
It'll be the
eventually cover
newest-
it if you wanted.
It'll be the newest
literally
laser removal
myself.
thing. It'll be the newest laser removal. My laser removal guy hit a penis in my laser removal. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I really don't understand how that
It's
works.
both impressive and also terrifying.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. What artistry. Yes.
It's beauteous.
And
But
then
that's
you get
also-
like a Unilad feature. This
Oh,
new
yeah.
artist is
Yeah.
creating waves.
He's taking laser to a whole new level.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's like taking eraser to your black
Yeah, pretty well.
charcoal drawing.
But again, it's like that same kind of
Ish.
thing that he's describing of like it's kind of reactivating the ink in the layer that it is. And I think this is one of the reasons that what you end up seeing is less about the tattoo that you see. It's more about the scar tissue that was there previous.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of blending everything together in a way that works, but you can't get rid of the scar tissue. You're going to see that through it later.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's bothered me greatly. Like, one of the only things that's bothered me is no matter how many times I hit something, you can still see
It drives him crazy.
imperfections. Or, like, the old tattoos will stand out sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I covered you over and over again. You're
Well,
done now.
not
The
going
reason
away.
that is, though, is because like a traditional cover-up is done to distract
I
the
know.
eye, right?
Eh.
Like I've watched Rick do this trick enough that it's one of
Masking.
those like if you don't take into account what's scarred there and use the design to help take your eye away from it, you're always going to be able to see it. That's where like when I see people doing like, oh, you just put a tattoo over another tattoo. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's really stupid.
Scar formation's strong.
Yeah,
And
oh,
I've
yeah.
got some bad ones, too.
Yeah, I mean, well, you could always just scarificate.
Well, the black on black is doing it, though.
Yeah.
Healing.
Because, like, there is a scar ring in here that you can't see anymore. You
Yeah.
could find it, but, like, you won't ever find it without looking hard for it
Yes.
When it was really obvious before.
now. Yeah, and Rick already blacked it out twice, and
Yeah.
it was still popping out sometimes. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well, now
okay,
it's behind a rose.
now it's behind a rose. So the black on black is like a twofold cover-up.
Yeah.
Where it's like,
But
the
that's
old
what I'm meaning.
scars are
It's-
not going to be seen.
But that's what I'm meaning. It's distracting the eye, right? So once you get the ability to do this two-tone thing, you're gaining that level of distraction that you were missing. Whereas if it's just solid black, you're going to see that scar tissue. It's going to seem almost different in the light compared to the other areas.
Yeah, and it
And-
was truly bothersome.
Yeah.
Like-
and good luck ever getting rid of it.
Yeah, and this is why, like, because it doesn't make sense to some people,
Yes.
right? Like it, the blackout didn't make sense to some people,
Yep.
and then covering the blackout doesn't make sense to other people.
Yeah.
But,
But-
they seem to like it more.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. The reaction from the public to that video that you took of me out here next to that wall,
Yeah.
that will be my most liked post ever.
Oh wow.
I don't doubt it.
It's on its way.
Dude,
Like,
I told you we're doing something with this that nobody Nobody's
And
really done this.
It's not only probably my most liked post, but it's probably the most viral I've ever been on Instagram is right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I've gone up almost 3,000 followers this week.
Well, when you started saying you wanted to do this, I was excited because I was like, "Whoa, you're in the territory that nobody goes into."
It's
And yes.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
it's
what,
exciting.
6 people?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And
Not
no
a lot
one
of people
vocal.
in North
no,
America.
it's just people getting them
definitely.
done, and that's
Right?
it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are we trying branding next?
Well, technically, he's been branding himself for a long time.
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast too, so.
Go on. Oh.
Yeah.
But no, like I'm just saying that, like,
I mean, like,
yeah. Oh,
I
well,
really
I
want to
mentioned
know. I
scarification.
really want to know.
yeah.
We could do
I don't know what it does.
scarification.
Yeah.
Well, not we could,
And
but
honestly,
someone
like,
could.
when it comes to
Someone could.
branding, I wouldn't even be hurt to try a little numbing cream on it, you know?
Well, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah.
Isn't that what that Alex said he did with scarification on his arm?
Yeah, they did numbing cream.
They
for
numbed
sure.
it out and then they poured white ink in it
Yep.
after.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's pretty.
horrible.
It sounds horrible, but also like totally badass.
Oh yeah.
Like what a badass.
Oh, I know. I know. It's
and such a
hilarious.
nice guy too.
Gives me
Yeah.
the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
he's
the
I
best.
so
hate
friendly.
burns.
He's the best.
I hate
Yeah,
burns so
they
much.
heal badly.
Ugh.
They're gross. They get all stiff. I'd rather get tattooed like a million times over.
But have you seen that guy who does scarification portraits?
I have seen it. Yeah.
oh, I haven't. Oh, I gotta look this up.
Unbelievable.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It looks disgusting.
Is he doing like different like depths to
Yeah.
get like oh
It
Kinda
looks
that-
kind
you know
of
how they do
exactly how
paper
you would
carving?
think it would be?
You know they do paper carving to make portraits? You seen that?
Yes, and I've seen like I did like wood cutting for school.
Yeah, yeah.
So the concept
Etching
makes
or whatever?
complete, yeah,
Yeah.
complete.
So it's the same thing, but it's
I
just
get it.
in skin.
So, can you
It's like-
describe scarification for me? I have no idea what you're talking about.
So you take a little scalpel,
Yeah.
you stencil the skin
Mm-hmm.
in whatever you want, and you cut the skin
No.
and
And then you
remove
remove
it.
it.
Okay, cool. So you'd kind of like make a little
Gross.
canal, make a little
Shading
channel,
is
like you're
confusing,
making a
though.
triangle channel this way in the skin.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then it heals.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
I
I
think
said.
the healing is pretty hard to control unless you really know what you're doing, right?
Well, it's an open wound.
And you'd want to go with the second skin. You really need to take
I
care
don't
of it.
think you do.
I don't know if
I
you
think
do.
I think
they're,
you go as deep as you want.
because it's not plasma, it's blood.
I think it needs to air out.
I think it needs to air
They
out.
look pretty red.
Well, it breathes. That stuff breathes. But if,
I know.
if it's bleeding, then
Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's
You're not-
like you're going you're going into that second layer, and
You have to, or else you
Carving
won't
it
have
out, right?
anything.
it's gross.
That's nasty. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a real art to it too, because some people they'll dig you up, but there won't be anything there at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Got
about
scarred
knowing your
wrong.
layers really well, and also like to get any kind of shading and a scarification is like that's
That's
next
insane,
level
yeah.
knowledge
Yeah.
of skin.
No, would pouring ink into it be a standard part of the process?
So on his, it's because he has a blackout sleeve.
Yeah.
And rather than just doing the skin tone, they wanted to try and increase the
Yeah.
contrast, so they poured white into it.
Cool.
Um,
that wouldn't stay.
yeah,
Because I've
that
poured
stayed.
black into cuts before.
It
He had
stayed
the
with no
whitest
success.
white ink in black I've seen
Yeah.
in person.
Seriously.
Really?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
weird.
Fair.
Again, he went to though, like I think that was the number one guy that does this.
Right.
Was the guy
okay,
that did
you
it.
you go to
You know
number
what I
one
mean?
guy. He's got skills. He's seen his healed work come back repeatedly.
Yeah, and this is that guy who does those portraits, and
Yeah.
it's just wild.
Yeah.
You know that's a whole nother thing for me. I couldn't
It's also
do it.
it's also kind of gross. Like people ask what it's like. Oh, tattooed and causing pain and blood. I'm like, nah. It's pretty topical. It's pretty chill.
Pretty sterile
But
overall.
once
yeah.
you're cutting someone's skin and removing a piece of them with a scalpel, like
different level.
Well, that's you with piercing.
It's
Yeah.
like
Like, you don't even
Oh,
want to
yeah.
be near it.
No,
I've
I
got a pretty
can't.
cast iron stomach. And piercing, I'd love to. I think I could totally pierce for sure.
I couldn't.
But to be removing a piece of someone's skin, like that's actually getting a bit gross for me.
Yeah,
Like-
that's tricky.
Yeah, no.
I'll take apart any animal, but like removing a little piece of human is like.
While
we're
they're
good.
sitting there too, conscious, I
Yeah.
think that
and bleeding, openly
Yeah.
bleeding,
Yeah.
like
And not just a little bit.
yeah, there's blood dripping off their leg and stuff.
That's where like
That's
with-
also a huge hazard.
oh my
right?
god.
Yeah. How do you do that?
actual blood
And what
everywhere?
do you
That's
do
why
with the
when
skin
I see those at, like-
after?
The what?
You'd have to do
skin.
biohazard waste.
Yeah, there's got to be some higher level of education necessary for
You
it.
sell it on the black market. I don't know.
But like,
Tattoo it.
you can't do
Yeah,
it here
exactly.
in
Fake
Canada
skin.
legally. So
No.
like, there's no above board approach to this. That's where you open yourself up to butchers.
Well, all of a
right?
sudden you'd be in the area of cosmetic surgeon.
But here's my problem with
Yeah.
this is like, if people want these things, there are safe ways to do them. It's not like you can't do this safely. So we should have it be above
Yes, but
board.
we live in a province that just added God back
well,
into
we
the
don't
curriculum.
have it anywhere in
Oh.
Canada.
As
Yeah.
it should be.
Yep, we just put God back in the curriculum here in Alberta.
What curriculum?
Why?
School?
The
School.
curriculum.
How did we do that?
As in, there's now a part of our grade 6 curriculum in history class that explains
This is when
Jesus,
God died.
Christmas, the Holy Trinity,
not know
explains
that.
all these facts of
In
history.
public school?
In public school.
I do think that everybody should have religious education, not to indoctrinate indoctrinate
yeah, yeah.
them,
Aware.
Oh, no,
but
this
to
is for
form
indoctrination.
awareness.
It should
See,
be.
that's the scary
It should be
part.
world religion.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. I
There's-
think
no.
everybody should have world religion.
If we're going to teach kids about religion, it needs to be in a philosophy class.
Yeah.
Because our high school students should absolutely have a philosophy class
Yes, they
that
should.
absolutely approaches religion from a scientific standpoint.
Right, and then also like to create like religious tolerance too, because like if you
Yeah.
understand why our Mormon neighbors do the things they do, you're a little less likely to
Hey,
dislike them.
you know how you believe stuff and you have values?
Yeah, well, so do
Other
I.
people believe different stuff and have different values.
And then-
we all
Guess
got to
what?
get
That doesn't
along.
mean you need to kill them.
That's right.
Or
Guess
like
what?
it won't seem so strange, to have like a
Yeah.
Buddhist best friend growing up, and you're like, well, what is Buddhism, and why are you leaving oranges out to that statue? And I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
quite get it, but
These people
instead
are
of like
stupid.
maybe making them feel uncomfortable by being like, well, that's stupid.
Ask the
you learn it in
exploratory
school.
questions and learn about it
Yeah.
instead of saying that that's stupid.
Right.
Meanwhile, they're watching you bring a tree into your house and
Right.
put lights on it. They're going, "What the hell are you
what I always
doing?"
say.
Because
that
an old
about?
fat man's going to go down our chimney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but because
Break
God's
into our house
son
and
was
give us
born in
stuff.
the summertime, so now we've got the celebration in the winter to appease pagan religions when we conquered other lands.
Yep.
So we included their Saturnalia practices into our Christian celebration.
Every
At the
religion
wrong time of year.
looks
You were saying that at
ridiculous
grade
under
6?
the lens.
We should probably.
Oh no, high school.
Up that.
Yeah,
That should
no.
be in philosophy class in high school.
Well, that
Or
I
no,
almost
that,
think
that
we should
part
just
be in history, but approach to religions, approach to other people having different beliefs and values, as strong as your own. That should be a philosophy class in high school.
I still think that should start like really young though. Like I
Yeah,
think
but they're
we
going to
should.
call it like tolerance class.
Oh, that would be awful. I just
man.
think
It's gonna
it just
be-
should
it's
be
gonna
like
happen.
World religions, and we just
It's okay. I
We should
learned to
just talk about.
tolerate other people's beliefs.
It's because we don't
Nope,
know how to
wrong
talk about
language.
things that are difficult.
No, it's
Yeah.
because we live in a province where our government is openly trying to go back to read and write and arithmetic and God.
Which is really bizarre because I did. They're working on curriculum currently that includes more of the Aboriginal history.
Oh yeah, they
So-
took
And
took that out
and
and added God now.
Showing like
They took it
things-
out.
Oh
that's so
yeah.
sad.
Like kids in this province now are going to learn all about Genghis Khan
Oh.
way before anyone ever mentions a residential school to them.
Well,
See,
in-
that's bad.
In grade
Yeah,
three
that's
and
super
I think we
four,
really need
part
to.
of the curriculum for Ivan was
You're
the
gonna learn about-
genderbread man and the rainbow unicorn and
Oh, the
all of
genderbread
the-
man.
all of
yeah.
the gender
Genderbread?
stuff.
What?
So, the genderbread man.
Yeah, you brought it home.
Yeah.
Why would they call the genderbread man?
The genderbread
That
cookie.
that
Whatever the
also
hell
makes
It wasn't
no
a man. It was like a
sense.
Okay,
genderbread cookie.
They
Okay,
just took
thank
away.
you.
They just
Yeah.
took away the
And
sex
the
of Mr.
rainbow
Potato Head.
unicorn. So what I'm-
Genderbread man.
like, how can you be going more progressive but more regressive at the same time?
Because
Isn't
we
that
can have
strange?
our cake and eat it too, Jeremy. We can
Also-
do whatever we want.
I've got a hunch the genderbread cookie is not in the curriculum.
Well,
No,
what-
that
it
might
was
have
in
been a
his
rogue
class.
teacher.
That would be something brought from academia into
Yeah.
the classroom, right?
Oh boy.
What is that? Could that be construed as sexual interference?
I mean, I would call it personal bias.
Yeah, I don't know.
At the same time, making any commentary on gender right now,
It's hard.
yeah. So
You
well,
shouldn't.
That's right, shouldn't. So I've
Oh,
probably
I'm not
already overspoken.
debating the
but
yes or no on that in
Yeah,
particular.
yeah.
I'm
No,
just saying
God,
that we're going in all kinds of different directions there.
Let's
Well, this
talk
is
about
the-
the atrocities and genocides that happened here.
Right?
like
I didn't learn about
Let's
that
talk about
until
that
university.
first.
That was really
Let's talk
upsetting.
about that. Like before we have this introspective, look at yourself and decide what gender you are.
Yeah.
How about we look at our actual recent history and have a chat about how to fix big social problems, and personal choice will definitely work out.
Let's
in
talk
due
about
time.
how Canada had a policy to destroy a certain race of people up until very, very, very recently in our
Yeah.
history. Like we should have that conversation.
Yeah, big time.
the thing that I would be interested in is like, because right now what seems to be happening is like if you start peeling back the onion, you all of a sudden start thinking like, man, we just suck. Is there like a way of taking that whole approach and making it towards positive change rather than just like because like we have to fix it, you know what I mean?
but
Like
there
it's
is
not just like, oh, we screw up
And the
constantly.
the first step to fixing it is
Solar power.
is learning. Is everyone a common knowledge? Everyone learning about it, because if
Coin saves the day.
if 94% of the population is aware of our First Nations history, they might be a little bit kinder and a little bit more supportive when meeting our First Nations people
And
who
having
are
some
vulnerable and in a
understanding.
troubling lifestyle right now.
Yeah.
And that's the first step to actually help fix some of this.
And then also making sure that our educators are, educated
Not
properly
racist assholes.
themselves.
man.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest difficulty, right? Like,
and like hopefully trying to take out as much of the bias as you can, right? Like if you have an educator that's not treating subject matter the way they should be, maybe they shouldn't be teaching that subject matter.
Well, those are bad policies that are going to have to age out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like as people retire and are replaced with hopefully newer, younger blood,
Yeah.
maybe different ideas come forward a little bit easier.
It's troubling when you have people of a very old generation instructing like a younger generation that's being raised in new ideals.
Yep.
So like you can't have a 60-year-old teaching our ideals today to 10-year-olds.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they just age out. It's like I
Yeah.
was talking about my buddy at work. That mindset ages out. You
Yep.
need new blood to teach new blood.
Big time.
But at the same time,
You can't even necessarily fault those old guys because that's what they grew up
As
with.
they grew up with.
Yeah.
And that comes
Their
back
time
to how
is
we
now
fix this.
over, though.
Education. They didn't learn.
Right.
They didn't learn that, hey, everything got to be here for a
Because
reason.
of this.
Yeah, things didn't just happen this way because human nature led this street person to behave and to have this lifestyle in this manner. No, that was generations of other meddling and other factors that went into making that happen.
It's generational always.
Well, and then like all of our educators, like how long do they have to? I mean, it's good that they have to go to school for a while, but they have to go to school for quite a while to even become a teacher themselves. So then by the time they're entering into educating the youth, they're already not youth themselves, so they've already lost. There's like a disconnect, right?
I mean, I just think maybe like these systems worked when knowledge was
Sorry.
when knowledge took a long time to progress or to disperse, because like when you had old world stuff, like say you have this exact same talk, but it's like, how do we teach kids in the 60s? So it's like, well, then you kind of need old people who have learned things over years, but like we're learning things in seconds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
difficult.
There's as much or more to learn then, but it was all more like physical and like skills for life. Where now it's about teaching understanding of people, right, and living with life, because we already have all the things we need for the
More
most
of a
part.
We
mentorship
have a-
system once upon a time too, right?
Yeah. Where now, it's like teaching about culture and educating about history and where we're going and how to better use things. Where many years ago it was about how do we get the things. Let's work on having the things. Right?
Yeah, now we've got too much things.
Yeah. So now it's like, let's figure out how to be nicer to each other.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, it is going to be called like tolerance class or something like that.
Yeah.
Because like that's kind of where, like, I had this talk the other day where it's like, if you can't recognize where you are in the scheme of something, like in the grand scheme, if you will, and then recognize how other people would view where you are, like it makes it so all of a sudden you can't you're only seeing the world from your perspective, and you can only see your plights as yours.
You have no empathy.
Yeah.
Well,
You have empathy in what relates to you.
yeah.
I think what feeds this a lot is that we live in a culture where the predominant religion is very, nope, here's the natural laws of the universe. These are the universal laws and how it is. Everyone else outside of
wrong.
these laws is just wrong.
And they're going to
And
hell.
you sort of have to tolerate them, I guess, unless you can commit genocide.
Well, you don't have to tolerate them. You have to convert them, right? That's the narrative. They're wrong.
Yeah.
So you have to convert them
Their
to save
line
them.
thinking they just need to be told how it really is.
Yeah.
And then they'll be
you
better.
have to save them because they're wrong. They're going to hell.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, I don't think you ever lose that unless that goes away. Because, like, I don't know, just with Western culture, like the religiosity that's kind of in it, it bakes in this idea of what I know is right. Right?
Well, because, God made this and everything, and these are the universal laws, so therefore anything that doesn't adhere to these laws is wrong.
Let's take a minute to realize that all four of us are from a type of Christian upbringing.
Yeah.
I was probably only up until I was about 6. But everyone in this conversation has escaped that somehow. That's hope for the world.
So I can bash in Christianity, not out of like, oh, I'm right and they're wrong. No, I spent 23 years proselytizing. I was a preacher and a minister, and I went to other countries to preach and spread the word. I learned a different language to do so. I've read that Bible in and out and backwards and taught it in front of 100 people at a time, up to 3,000 people at a time. I'm not messing around, and I've seen it. I'm not into it.
Yeah, I know. That's where one of those things that now that I'm out of it, or whatever you want to call it, I just have a lot of empathy for people that are in it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I just was so unaware or blind or just happy to kind of sit in it, you know what I mean, without trying to look at anything else, because it would just be uncomfortable to try and look at the world in any other way. Whereas, like, that's not good. That's not a good way to live your life. And that kind of is like what scares me about belief in general.
Yeah.
Like, we do seem to have a gravity or like, some sort of pulling force towards this idea of belief, because, like, even when we get out of a belief structure, we fall right back into a new one.
Well, it's that classic. It's a classic coping mechanism where you're choosing ignorance versus knowledge, and you're like, well, if I just keep doing this thing that kind of actually fills a lot of these holes and fills a lot of these needs and kind of works for this, and I don't have to think too deep about it, well, that's pretty comfortable. I can be happy and ignorant and just carry on.
Yeah. Yep. Scary.
Yeah. Know where I want to live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.